Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So my hair is wild today and I just can't be bothered to fix it. But that's okay because we are talking about some wild books, and these are books that to me have some of the best twists in them. I know it says twist endings. All of these are like kind of twist ending reveals except for one. One is like a mid twist, but I'm putting it on here anyway because it deserves to be on here. I did like a part one of this video really early on in my channel, so I'm sure the footage on that is a little rough, but I really like this theme. I've been talking a lot recently in my recent reviews about books that have been really predictable and how much I don't like that and how I like being blindsided when I'm reading things. So I want to talk about books that kind of had that effect on me. I will say something that is noticeably absent from this video is a Riley Sager novel. There is a Riley Sager novel on my first video. I believe it was The Last Time I Lied. All of Riley Sager's books are pretty much based on a formula of having a crazy twist ending. That's his whole thing. So I felt like I didn't need to put Riley Sager in this video just because the one that blew me away the most is in the first, and I just don't need to keep regurgitating that Riley Sager writes absolutely bonkers twists in his stories. But yeah. Let's just dive in. For me, a twist is something that I either don't see coming or something that is just so truly crazy and absurd that it just elevates the story to the next level. And sometimes a twist is something that you should be able to see coming, and other times it's something that is, again, so outrageous and bizarre that it just shows up and you're like, there's no way I would ever have seen that coming. And sometimes I do think that's a little cheap. That happens in Stephen King's Revival, and I cannot stand it. If you've read that book, and if you've been on this channel for a while, you've heard me complain about that story. But I actually do have a Stephen King book on here today that I do actually think does it in a way that I love and appreciate. But yeah, let's dive right in and talk about why sometimes having something hidden and then suddenly revealed at the most pinnacle moment can really take a story from being a fun read to a very, very elaborate, eclectic, different read that's, at least for me, stuck with me for months and months and months after reading it. So I'm going to start off with Come With Me by Ronald Malfi. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know I love Ronald Malfi. But you also probably know that Ronald Malfi isn't like an author probably known for his twist. In my first video of this, I did have December Park in there, and while it's a minor twist, it does really elevate the ending of that story. This one, the twist, I found to be game-changing in the story and really put the book in a whole new perspective for me. The one thing I will say about Come With Me is out of everything that I read from Ronald Malfi, this is the least scary. I don't know if I would consider Come With Me a horror novel, but it is a ghost story, and it is kind of a like whodunit thriller mystery. So it's got all of the makings of things that I would like in a horror story, but it's a little bit too emotionally driven. A lot of the horror of this story comes from the horror of losing somebody you love and the reality of that, versus actually being some kind of supernatural scary story that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. I did devour this book, though. I actually read this book in the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, and I loved it. It was a perfect haunting story for a perfect haunted hotel. I'm going to read the back of the book for this one. Eric Decker's life changes one December morning when his wife Allison is killed. Haunted by her absence and her ghost, Aaron goes through her belongings, where he finds a receipt for a motel room in another part of the country. Piloted by grief and an increasing sense of curiosity, Aaron embarks on a journey to discover what Allison had been doing in the weeks prior to her death. Yet Aaron is unprepared to discover the dark secrets Allison kept, the death and horror that make up the tapestry of her hidden life. And with each dark secret revealed, Aaron becomes more and more consumed by his obsession to learn the terrifying truth about the woman who had been his wife, even if it puts his own life at risk. I really want to keep this just to that description. I will say the twist isn't revealed until the very, 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 very end, and it will make you look at this book in a completely different light. I absolutely did not see this coming. This is one of those twists where once you learn it, it fully makes sense looking back at the entirety of the story, but it isn't something I was prepared to readily predict, and I really don't know if other people would. I love the story. The story is absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So definitely check this out. However, if you want something that's a little more terrifying, a little more disturbing, a little more unsettling, that also has a crazy, bizarre twist, you gotta read Brother by Anya Alborn. I cannot shut up about this book. This obviously was my top read of 2023. I have been doing all of these videos recently that highlight how much I love Brother. I'm not going to read the back of this book because I think it has very much been told on this channel before, but if you are here for the first time, this is basically the story of a family very similar to the family in Tobe Hooper's A Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you were reading the story through the perspective of one of the brothers in the family, kind of going through his day-to-day life and seeing his interactions with the family alongside his interactions with outside society. And the kind of, like, contrived, strange, dysfunctional relationship that he has. I love this book. I adore this book. The twist, I did figure it out before it was revealed, but the book did a really good job of leading the reader to that assumption. It wasn't this crazy moment where you're like, oh my god. I'm sure for some people it might have been, but for me, I kind of figured it out. But I do still think that it is an absolutely incredible, very, very cyclical twist that just adds so many layers to this story to make it just that much more disturbing, that much more unsettling, and really kind of drive home this familial horror narrative that Anya Alborn is so well known for. I can't recommend this book enough. There are certain books, like The Chestnut Man, Brother, that I talk about so frequently on my channel, and I'm sorry if anybody ever gets sick of them, but I do that because I really want to stress how much I think people should read and enjoy the stories as much as I do. And I love the twist in Brother because it is just so bonkers and cruel and upsetting, and it really just, it doesn't change the story at all like some of the stories, like some of the twists that I have on this list do, but it does really elevate the stakes and just make this book that much more depraved. This is one of those like most disturbing books that for some reason I shouldn't love it, and I just absolutely adore the insanity that is Brother by Anya Alborn. The other book that I probably talk about just as much as Brother is Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. This is another book that, if you've been on my channel for the last like 2 years, you have probably heard me talk about endlessly. I hesitate to say love this book because this book is fucked up. But I do. I love this book. I think this book is absolutely brilliant. And what I really appreciate about this story is this book does not have a twist ending. This book has a twist right in the middle. And if you read this book, you know exactly what scene I am talking about. I'm going to read the back of the book just because I feel like the back is going to do a much better job of explaining this story than I will. Superfans, groupies, stalkers. These people will give anything for the idols they worship, be they rock stars, actors, or authors, or even serial killers. Laurie's obsession is with Edmund Cox, who was convicted of butchering more than 20 women. She will do anything to get close to him, so when he gives her a task, she accepts. She has no idea of the horror that awaits her. Edmund says she must go to his cabin in the woods and retrieve a key to deliver to a mysterious figure known only as the Riverman. She brings along her sister, and the trip becomes a surreal nightmare, one that digs at Laurie's personal demons, the one she feels bonds her to Edmund. Soon she will learn the Riverman is not quite fact or folklore, and definitely not human. At least, not anymore. This book is beautiful, and it is so disturbing, and it is so messed up. I highly recommend watching my full-length video review on this book to see if this is a book that is right for you. There are so many trigger warnings in this novel, and it's probably one of the most extreme books that I openly love and talk about and recommend on my channel. Actually, it probably is the most extreme book that I talk about on my channel this frequently. But the twist in this book is unlike any other. The twist in this book comes out of nowhere, and it basically changes your entire perspective on the story. It's one of the best twists I have ever seen in literature. It's one of the best hidden twists I have ever seen. Everything about it makes sense, and at least I personally don't think the average person would be able to predict it or see it coming, which makes it that much more horrible when it's revealed. And I just think for such a short book, I mean, this book is short. It's 165 pages. It packs such a punch and will just leave a lasting impression on you that I haven't really experienced with many other books. When I think about it, It by Stephen King, which as many of you guys know is my favorite book of all time, there's a couple scenes in It that deeply, deeply, deeply disturbs me, that have stuck with me since finishing that book, that I really can never get the images out of my head. This is one of those moments. So if you want a book that will deeply unsettle you, scare you in your humanity without even focusing on the supernatural aspects of things, this is the book to read, and this is the twist that really, really blew my mind. The twist in that book is, my jaw hit the floor when I read it, and I put the book down and I didn't touch it for a very long amount of time. I like devoured this book, and I needed to take a break because I could not keep reading it after I got to the twist. It's intense. It's truly a book to be experienced. Okay, next up, and this book I'm sure many, many, many people have heard of, and that is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. I'm putting this book on here because I know many people, myself included, probably figured out the twist in this book at least halfway through. Yes, the twist is predictable, but the twist I think is predictable because this is a story that has sort of been told previously in recent pop culture. I feel like if there hadn't been a movie with a similar concept that had been released within the last 15 years, maybe people wouldn't have gotten the twist. What I love about this book is the layers of the twist went deeper than I thought they did. And I also thought it was very, very unique how the twist of this story is ingrained in the stylization of the story. And that is something that I did not expect going into this book. I didn't expect the reveal to kind of take on more layers. The more I look at this book, even if when I first finished it, I was kind of just like, that's okay, that was fun. The more I think back on this book, the more scenes stick with me, the more I realize the kind of depth this book contained because of what the twist was doing, and because you are unknowingly in on the twist from the very, very beginning. And once it's revealed to you, you understand how everything previously led up to this reveal. And I really do appreciate that. I do love this story. I love that a cat is also a main character. I think that was really, really fun. And again, it's a weird way to tell a story. But I absolutely adored it. I'm going to read the... Actually, I don't know if I can read the flap for you. This is an advanced copy. Oh, I have it right here. Sorry, this is an ARC I got from Tor Nightfire, so it's not on the back of the book. So it says, in a boarded up house on a dead-end street at the edge of the wild Washington woods lives a family of 3. A teenage girl who isn't allowed outside, not after last time. A man who drinks alone in front of his TV, trying to ignore the gaps in his memory. And a house cat who loves napping and reading the Bible. An unspeakable secret binds them together, but when a new neighbor moves in next door, what is buried out among the birch trees may come back to haunt them all. The Last House on Needless Street is an immersive and shocking journey that will keep you guessing until the last page. Even Stephen King says he hasn't read anything this exciting since Gone Girl. And Paul Tremblay has a blurb that says, stop reading this blurb already and open the damn book. This is definitely a book to go into blind. The less you know about this, the more you will get out of this story. And I do think the twist, again, I think some people can predict it. I know people who read this book and didn't see it coming at all, and I know people who did predict it. So there is that risk, but I don't think being able to predict the twist will ruin this story for you, because it is such a unique tale anyway, and the twist just, in my opinion, fully elevates the read. And then last but not least, here we have our Stephen King. Hopefully he's gonna redeem himself with his twist endings after that, which was Revival. And I know people like Revival. I know you guys do. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's a great book until that reveal. I was so on board until that reveal. That reveal. I don't think there's ever been a book that's made me as angry as Revival. And I know I've said this a billion times on my channel, but I'm just reiterating it here. I still hate the ending of that book. But I really like the ending of the, I guess it's a short story. It's pretty long though. In If It Bleeds. And this just overall is a really solid collection. I really like Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which was adapted into a film. But I love Life of Chuck. That was my favorite story in this. There's only 4, I think. Yeah, Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Oh, yeah, 4. Mr. Harrigan's Phone, The Life of Chuck, If It Bleeds, and Rat. Rat was fun too. I don't really remember If It Bleeds. I know it was more like of Holly Gibney, but I really don't remember much of it. Life of Chuck, though, really, really stuck with me. And Life of Chuck is actually being adapted into a film that I believe will be starring Matthew Lillard and Tom Hiddleston. It's being directed by Mike Flanagan. So just everything about that makes me extremely happy. But Life of Chuck is one of the most absurd things I've ever read from Stephen King. And then when you understand what's actually happening, like, it's just twist upon twist. And you're just like, this is both extremely depressing, but also just beautiful. Is there a blurb? Here we go. The Life of Chuck explores how each of us contains multitudes. That's it. That's the blurb here. What I will say is this is the best end of the world story, apocalypse story I've ever read. I'm just going to leave it at that. And nothing is what it seems. I had no idea what I was going into when I was reading it. I was so confused when I was reading it. And then once everything came together and I understood what was happening, I truly thought it was one of the most beautiful things Stephen King has ever written. And the way he introduces it is absolutely fantastic. And one of the things that I think is so important about this book is, if you do read Life of Chuck, make sure you read his afterword on how he came up with the story, because it's just so beautiful and weird and well thought out. And all of a sudden, like, you kind of can understand how this story has all these twists put into it because they came from different moments in Stephen King's life. And I really loved it. It absolutely stuck with me. Out of all of the Stephen King books that I've read recently in the last, I don't know, like, out of his new releases, like the ones that I've read that have come out within the last, like, 10 years, The Life of Chuck is definitely the one that has stuck with me the most. And I know a lot of people aren't fans of newer Stephen King, and I tend to be more hesitant to read newer King because it never really feels like it lives up to old King. I do think Life of Chuck is one of them. I do think it's fantastic. I cannot wait to see how Mike Flanagan adapts it. I think it's going to be brilliant, and that cast. But yes, definitely check out Life of Chuck. I really can't say more because, again, it's another book. The less you know about it, the better it is. And it's really short. I think it's only like 70 pages, so you will fly through it. Anyways, that is all that I have on my latest round of horror novels that I think have incredible twist endings, or in the case of Gone to See the Riverman, just a twist in general. Definitely check the trigger warnings on a lot of these. A lot of these books have some pretty extreme topics in them. But again, they are all books that I was comfortable reading. But I still feel that the level of extreme was utilized in a way that pushed the story forward to nail the point that the author was trying to make. Anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I try to post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays. And if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I will catch you on the next one. Mwah.